Hey everyone, welcome to Femme Fables. Megan here, and today we are talking about betrayal. So everyone's experienced, I'm sure, some level of betrayal in their life. I definitely have recently. Compared to Cherise's, it's very minor. However, I feel very betrayed in my current state, but that's a
I
story
think
for
all
another
betrayal
day.
is relative.
That's true. But I have convinced Cherise to come on. She was on my last episode, but to talk about the betrayal she experienced because it's such a huge betrayal that I thought it was important for people to hear about it because she's obviously come out of it. This was how long ago?
My daughter is 30 now.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, 30 years ago. Still kind of hits close to home, obviously.
Yes, it does.
It's so.
Well, when you told me we were going to do this,
I sprung this on her, by the way.
She did.
We were coming to record the last one, which was, kind of a female success story. And I was like, yeah, we're going to talk about betrayal, too.
And I stayed up Thursday night, and it was like tearing the Band-Aid off all over again. 30 years later, so you still feel it.
Yeah. So I appreciate you coming on, though, because I know it's not an easy thing to talk about, but hopefully if there's anybody who's experienced a recent betrayal, going through, recovering from betrayal is not easy. It takes a lot of healing, so I thought it'd be important for Cherise to tell her story. So let's see. So we'll start with, how did you guys meet?
So, as you heard on the last podcast, I was in the military and had just finished up boot camp. And so after you finish boot camp, you go to your first duty station to learn your training, learn what your job is going to be. So I went to Great Lakes, Illinois for that training. So that's where I met him. He was in his training school. He was a couple of classes ahead of me. He was in his training school, and then I came into my training school. So almost like if you want to think about it like high school, I came in ninth grade and he was already like 11th grader.
So were you 18?
When I went to training, I joined the service when if I wasn't 18 yet, I was just turning 18.
Oh, wow. So you had not even been 18 yet?
Yeah, I joined the service at 17 because I had to have my parents sign off on it.
Okay.
And I went to training school. I graduated in the July. So I went, by the time I got to my training school, I probably had not quite turned 18 yet. Because I think I graduated late August, September, and my birthday's in October. So I could have been if I was 18, I was barely 18.
Okay, well, barely legal. Okay.
Yeah.
Did he pursue you? How did it come about?
I would have to say, if I'm going to be honest, no. I wouldn't say he pursued me.
Okay.
I think I definitely pursued him. For sure. I think, I don't remember, I do remember. Now we're talking about it. So, at the school that we were at, think of it as like college, you have a common area. And so it's got billiard tables, arcades. It's a fun area where everybody will go. You have your dorm and then you come down into this common area if you want. And that's where I saw him. I saw him in the common area and I was with my girlfriend and I was like, who is that? And so, one of my girlfriends was dating one of his friends. And so I would definitely have to say I pursued it.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. So just kind of walk me through. So you pursued him.
Yeah. So
it worked, obviously.
Yeah. So I definitely pursued him, and we went on our first date, if you will. It was in Great Lakes. A lot of you probably won't know the way the base is set up, but the base is right on the lake.
Okay.
One of the Great Lakes. And so there's an area that you can go
Lake Michigan?
I can't
You're in Illinois, right?
Yeah,
so
I know.
Probably like Michigan.
Michigan, Erie, one of them.
Okay.
But you can go down to this area, which is by the lake. We called it the beach. We'd have picnics down there and do different things as, kids in school doing whatever. So we went down to that area the night, and it was a beautiful moon. It was a beautiful night, and
so super romantic.
Hardcore making out.
Ooh.
Hardcore.
I love that first stage of dating.
Oh my
make
God.
out for so long.
And make out and just in the whole ambiance of
the setting, the moon,
Yeah.
the lake, the water,
And I think that's where we solidified, okay, we're girlfriend, we're a couple.
Okay.
Yeah, it was that night.
How old was he?
We didn't have sex.
Okay.
But it was that feeling that, because after that, if you didn't see me without him, you didn't see him without me.
How old was he? Because you're barely 18.
Right. So we are 6 years apart, for sure. So
He was 24.
He was 24.
Okay. All right. So attached at the hip.
Pretty much attached at the hip, and so at that time I had my two girls and myself, and we used to call ourselves, don't hate me, but we used to call ourselves Salt, Pepper, and Spinderella because
That's amazing.
we were always together, clubbing it, doing it, we were always together. And then, like I said, one of my girlfriends was dating his friend, and then he and I were dating. So we were always together. If we were always together. Everything we did, we would go into Chicago. We'd rent a limousine, the group of us, and we'd go into Chicago, rent a hotel, and just party the whole weekend. And we were together. We were always doing things together. Great restaurants, great clubs,
Chicago has such good food too, man.
Yeah, it was just, I was falling in love.
Yeah.
I was literally falling in love, and we were always together. We ate lunch together. We studied together, because remember, we're in school.
Yeah.
So we studied together. We did everything together.
Okay.
That was how it was.
Yeah.
And then he like I said, he was a couple of he was, for lack of a better word, grades ahead of me. So he was graduating.
Okay.
So I came in I would say he was graduating. I feel like it was around the February, March maybe.
So I'm gonna pause you right there. Were you saying I love you?
Oh, of course.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
How long did it take? How long would you say you dated? Can you remember now? When you first
to say
the I love you phase? Yeah. Was it pretty quick? Was it? Because I feel like when you spend that much time with somebody, you can get there very quickly.
Yeah. If I'm trying to remember it back specifically, I don't know. But if you're thinking, we met that August, September. He's leaving by the February, March of the next year. It's not a lot of time.
Yeah.
And we were definitely saying, I love you.
Okay.
And we were definitely always together.
Okay.
So I would say if I met in the August, by Christmas, easy.
Okay.
Thanksgiving, hell, I don't know.
All right, so probably pretty quickly. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's getting ready to graduate.
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm devastated because he's graduating, and what does that mean for our relationship? And I'm not graduating until that June, July.
Okay.
So I'm definitely thinking about where am I going to get stationed next? What am I going to request? Because you can you are able to put in 3 areas that you want to go to. So I'm thinking about where I want to go because I want to be with him. He wants me to be with him. He's going out to San Diego.
Okay. Because that's where he lived at the time?
No.
Or that's where,
That's where his
okay.
next duty station is going to be San Diego, Naval Hospital, Balboa.
Okay.
And so at the time, if you are at Great Lakes, most oftentimes you are going to get stationed East Coast, meaning Germany and Europe, versus going all the way, moving you to the West Coast and doing, say, the Asian tour in that situation.
Okay.
So I put in, because my girlfriends, we all wanted to go to Naval Hospital Balboa because my girlfriend, we all wanted to go because my girlfriend's guy had gone out to San Diego as well. And at that time, you could choose to do the buddy system. And if you're willing to do the buddy system, that meant that, okay, when you got out there, you're willing to live together and kind of commune together and try to get your money right and do that kind of stuff. So not so much dependence on the military. So that was one of the good aspects, that you could try to do a buddy system. If not, you could get chances that you could go where, whatever. So we all put in as our first choice, San Diego, willing to do the buddy system, and then take our hits where we could on the second and third choice. So we all lucked out and we got San Diego. We all got it. But so we ended up getting to go out there. But I say all that to say that we were in that space where we are cognitively thinking, how do you maintain this relationship and move it forward.
Right. Okay. So you got that. He's getting ready to graduate and leave, and you said that you get like time in between.
Yes.
Okay.
So when you graduate, or not just graduate, but whenever you are leaving one duty station, typically you get 30-day leave pass.
Okay.
And so you get your orders, and then those orders, so let's say today's the day I'm graduating. My orders are going to tell me, you need to show up in San Diego, California, no later than midnight 30 days from now. And you have to coordinate your ticket. You've got to figure all that piece out. But you better show up 30 days later over there. I don't care what you do between now and then, but you better show up over there. So he was going to go back home for 30 days, obviously. And then go out to San Diego.
And home for him was Ohio?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So he graduated, tears crying, off to the airport. Devastated. But we're going to, I'm going to hopefully get my orders.
Were you engaged by this point?
No.
Okay.
No. Hopefully I'm going to get my orders that say I can get out to San Diego. We're still rolling the dice here. I don't know where my orders are going to say, right? We're hoping. So he's like, no, it'll all be okay. We'll work it out. Whatever we got to do, we'll work it out. And he goes off to Ohio to spend his spend his leave time. And, he has his parents there. As far as I know, he has his parents there, his brothers and sisters, whatever. And he's going home for 30 days. Okay, no problem, no foul. So I'm good. He goes home.
Okay.
And then
you're still at school.
I'm still at school, and I'm expecting, I'll call you and what have you.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch. We'll talk every day.
I'm just going home. And so when we were at school, it's kind of like an up step from boot camp. You have freedom, but it's the level of freedom.
Yeah. So
you get phone call time. You get time to call your family and whatever, and there's this common area we call the phone bank, and you go down to the phone bank to make your calls during your allotted time. And so he knew what my time frame was, so I just expected that he'd call.
Yeah.
So I would go down to the phone bank every day at that time to get his call. Well, his call never came. He never called me, and even my girlfriends, they're worried because I would sit at this phone bank for hours waiting for that call. I was like, I know he's going to call. He said he's going to call. And they'd be like, well, he didn't call yesterday. He didn't call.
Or you're like, maybe today is the
day. But no, maybe he got busy, blah, blah, blah. Right. And he'll call me today. And I went through that exercise for about 20 days.
Wow.
Probably about 20 days.
Did you cry?
Oh, gosh. Every
Did you think
day.
something happened to him? That would go through my mind.
Yes, I did.
So something's happened. I don't know.
I don't know who to call.
Right. They wouldn't know to call you probably.
They don't know
right?
to call me.
Yeah.
And none of that. And I'm not, obviously he's no longer at this base, so you're not even getting any information through base command. He is going to be attached to a whole different base. So you just don't know. And I have I think actually I knew the friend's contact because my girlfriend was definitely communicating with her guy. And he was like, I don't know anything. I haven't heard from him. I don't know. So there was no loop there for me to have any feedback. And so, yeah, I would sit at the phone and cry. I would, every day that I would go back to my room and not have that call, I would cry. And then my girlfriends, they're trying to be supportive, but they're like, girl, like,
yeah.
So I think it's about the 20th day of my girlfriend's finally saying, no, blah, 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 that I finally began to push the envelope forward. And I finally began to say, okay.
Like, this is over?
Yeah, this is over.
I've been played. Okay.
I've been played. This just isn't, it's not right.
Yeah. And I go from spending every day doing other to not getting one
to
damn phone call.
Exactly. So then I began to slowly move on. Like, I wasn't dating anybody else, but I just began accepting and getting it through my brain and working through it and starting to go back out with my girlfriends again and not sit by the phone anymore and things like that. And I think it's been so many years now, so give or take a couple of days, but I think it was probably about maybe day 36 that I get a knock on my dorm door. Mm-hmm. And it's one of my dorm neighbors that says, you've got a phone call down at the lab. So I was like, okay. So I'm thinking it might be my mom or my sister. I'm going down there and I answer the phone and who is it?
That motherfucker.
So
did he even acknowledge at first he hadn't called, or was he just like, hey?
No.
Hey, babe.
Hey, babe.
How's it going?
It was day one post-graduation. And so I said...
So he's already stationed at the other place,
he's
probably,
already gone... Yeah.
San Diego, because now we're 30... Okay.
Yep. So he's now where he needs to be, and now he's picking up where he left off. Mm-hmm. And
were
so...
you like,
Yeah, I did. I said...
New phone, who dis? No.
Yeah. Me no speak no English.
Yeah, no English.
No, it was like, what happened? Are you okay? Is everything okay? And he was like, yeah, everything's fine. I was like, you haven't called me. You told me you were going to call me, and you haven't called me. And he's like, oh, no, I just got busy with my family, and then my grandmother, she was sick, and I was taking care of her. And he was just going through all the... But remember... This 18-year-old over here, fresh out of school, fresh out of
your attached sky at the hip,
yes.
in love.
Yes. So I was like, oh, okay. And I'm 100% back in it. And then, he's like, I really miss you, and I want to see you, and I want you to come out here. It's beautiful in San Diego, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I'll buy you a ticket, and you can come and spend a long weekend with me. I'm in. Right? I'm on the next United Airways. Yeah, I'm on the next United Airways out of here. You know what I'm saying? So he buys me a ticket. San Diego, here I come.
So long weekend? Okay. Beautiful,
long.
I'm sure, right? Yeah.
Very romantic, very beautiful, very sexual, sensual, everything.
Hadn't seen each other in a while.
Yeah. It was on and cracking. Mm-hmm. And it was great. And he was telling me he loves me. I'm telling him I love him. We're solidifying because now I'm coming closer to getting my orders. Usually you get your orders about 60 days out. So we're just waiting. But the plan is that I'm coming to San Diego. And we'll live happily ever after. And so I think I went out there probably 2 times, maybe 3 times before I actually graduated.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a couple of weeks. No, I take that back. I went out there twice and he came back once. He came back to Great Lakes once. And we spent a weekend in Great Lakes together. And then he went back. And so I get my orders, and I get San Diego with the girls.
Yeah.
So we're
what
going
were your
to San
friends
Diego.
thinking? Were they like, bitch, why are you going to San Diego to see that motherfucker and called you for 36 days? Or were they supportive?
They were more supportive.
Okay.
They were my girls. They were like, maybe in the back of their mind,
Yeah.
you know,
But
they're
they
like,
were-
oh my
yeah.
god, no, she
Yeah.
ain't going down this road again.
But they didn't vocalize that to you.
Maybe not in a negative way. They probably did.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. They probably were like, you know, be cautious.
Yeah.
You know, don't wear
Right.
your heart on your sleeve.
Yeah.
Go out there, you know, hit your boots, and then,
Yeah.
you know, get what you need and come back.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was more of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think because of the way we were so tight and the way we partied, I think they really saw it as the three of us going to San Diego to conquer the world.
Yeah.
Not so much how I was seeing it, going to San Diego to become, you know, live happily ever after and be with this guy. I think maybe they thought it might have been a passing phase, especially after what had happened.
Right.
So I get the orders and we go. And we go to San Diego and we're all still living in dorms there.
Okay.
We're not living on the economy yet. And everything's great. Everything's great. He now in San Diego was in his what we call the C school. That's the school that gives you your secondary training.
Okay.
So you come in as a hospital corpsman, but then you can decide, okay, I really like surgery, so I want to be a OR tech. I really like pharmacy. I want to be a pharmacy tech. I really like X-ray. I want to be an X-ray tech. And so you go to your C school. So he was in his C school in San Diego to be a pharmacy tech.
Okay.
And I come out to San Diego just as a employee of Naval Hospital Balboa. I come in as a corpsman for San Diego. I'm not going to school. This is my job now.
Mm-hmm.
But he's in school. And so when I get out there, he has probably another 8 or 9 months to graduate from his C school to go on to now his duty station where he's going to work as like an employee.
Okay. Gotcha.
And he got Oakland. We knew that going in. We knew he wasn't going anywhere else. So it was Oakland, hour and a half, 2 hours up the road from where we were. So it was still doable.
Mm-hmm.
We dated. We commuted. If I was off this week, because the way you work, you have duty on and duty off. So you could easily have 4 or 5 day stretch that you don't have to work, and then you turn around and do a 7-day stretch.
Gotcha. Okay.
And same with him. So if I had my stretch, I'd go up and stay at his apartment. If he had his stretch, he'd come down and stay at my apartment. Sometimes he'd have my car, I'd have his car. Like, we were a couple.
Yeah, you're a solidified couple.
Yeah, we're a couple. Yeah, 100%. And it was, and I will regress a little, just throughout our time together, every holiday, so every Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
he would go back home.
Okay. Naturally, his
Naturally.
parents are there, so you would think
Exactly.
nothing of it.
And I didn't think anything of it, and so
you
I
never
would take
went with them.
I never went with him because I took my Christmas to come and be with my family.
I gotcha. Okay.
So we always spent Christmases apart, but we always spent New Year's together.
Okay.
That was our thing.
Mm-hmm.
So no craziness sparks in my head. So we are living our lives, doing our thing.
Everything's so good.
Everything's great. Live, whatever. And this particular New Year's, he takes me out to a really nice restaurant. One I had been wanting to go to for a long time because I remember we had really great food. And he asked me to marry him. So I am all in.
Yeah.
Absolutely I say yes. And we are beginning to plan our life together, like marriage, what's
Do you
next.
have a wedding date set? Or no?
honestly, at this point in my mind, I can't remember if we actually had gotten
and he had a ring?
Yeah, no, I definitely had a ring.
Okay.
I had a ring, wearing my ring all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely had a diamond ring.
Okay.
I remember it was gold. It was a little triple, it's what we could afford. But it was a nice ring.
Yeah.
And we were just trying to, I don't know that we had a date, but I know we were definitely trying to figure out, okay, you're in Oakland, I'm down here. Do we find something in the middle?
Gotcha.
Do we commute for some time? Because during this process now, I went to C school to become a physician assistant. Mm-hmm. So now I was in my C school trying to figure out, okay, once I graduate, do I want to just put in to go to Oakland? Because we'll be married by then. So even though we didn't have a date, we definitely knew by the time I have to get graduated, we have to be married because that's the only way I'm going to get, for sure, Oakland.
Gotcha.
So it's definitely things you're talking and moving towards and working through at that point. And so life was good. We were happy, what I thought was happy. And I think it was the January, so I can't remember the exact months, but let's say 3-4 months later, I find out I'm pregnant. And I am excited.
I'm like, dun, dun, dun.
I am just ecstatic.
You're going to be married
and family. This is all going my way. This is all going my way.
Was he happy when you told him?
When I told him, his exact words are seared in my brain.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
This is not going to work out.
What?
My expression, exactly. And I told him...
What the fuck you mean by that?
Remember, I'm in San Diego, so I drove the 2 hours to Oakland to deliver this blessed news.
So excited. You're like, I can't wait to tell him.
And I remember standing in his dorm room next to his bed, standing there, and him standing in front of me, and me so excited, laying this news on him. Like, I'm happy.
Yeah. And you think he's going to be happy because you're engaged, you're going to get married anyway, so.
And that was the first response. This is not going to work out. And so I'm like, what do you mean this is not going to work out? I mean, I'm about to graduate.
Yeah.
This is the no-brainer. We can move up here. We're planning to get married anyways. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, do we want to have a baby right this moment? No, but it is what it is.
Have you guys talked about having a family?
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. You want a kid.
Yeah.
You got plans?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
There was never, I don't want kids. I wanted children, so that was, no. So it was strange to me. So it's not going to work out. And so I'm like, I don't understand. What do you mean it's not going to work out? Is it optimal? No, but we can do this.
Yeah.
We're going to get married.
Can make it work. Right?
Yeah, we're going to make it work. He's like, I'm married and I have 2 children. Or 3 children at that time. 3 children.
And that's where it's like, the DJ goes, on the record player.
That's where,
you're like,
in that moment, my entire world fell apart. Everything. No, he didn't care. It was cold-blooded. His delivery was cold-blooded.
Like it was just straight, like.
Yeah, this is not going to work. Why? And me going into the whys or whatever, and him saying to me, it's like it was his time to peel the Band-Aid off moment, and he peeled it off.
He ripped that shit right off and stomped on it, set it on fire,
and
threw it out the window.
And I was devastated.
Did you start crying, or did it not even, like, it was just, did you even, like, when somebody says that, like, I don't even know how you fully, I remember the guy I dated in my 20s when his wife called me to tell me they were still very much married, like, it took me about 10 full minutes for it to actually, like, and then I broke down and cried.
I
fell to the floor crying.
Honestly, I'd lie to you if I gave you an answer. I was devastated. I think my world went black. The next cognitive moment, if you will, that I had was me and my Nissan Sentra heading back to San Diego in tears. I don't know if I had a response in that moment with him. I don't know. I don't know what.
Yeah,
I
you're
can't
blacked
remember.
out.
Yeah, I can't remember.
You just remember being back in your car, so you don't know, like.
Yeah. I don't know if we had a discussion in that moment.
Right.
I don't think we did. I think.
You're just like robotic.
I just remember I was headed back down I-5 back to San Diego.
And you were
in
pregnant.
Tears.
Yeah.
In tears. And I went straight to my girlfriend's. And I'm talking it through with them. And they're like, okay. I think they're shocked too. They're like, okay.
Right. Like,
we're gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you know, as a woman, I had to begin now to think everything that I knew was false. Here I am pregnant, out of wedlock, with a very strict Jamaican family.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not news I'm about to share with them.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of processing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But most of all, I felt so betrayed.
Oh,
I felt...
That is... We were joking about this off camera, but I'm like, I almost said Hallmark. I'm like, that's not the right channel. Like USA Network type of shit. Like, whole nother family. Whole life. I'm assuming his family lived in Ohio. Where he'd go to Christmas.
That's where he had to go to Christmas.
Couldn't call you for 36 days because I'm busy with my wife. And 3 kids?
3 kids.
Did you hear from him again?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
he kept hoovering you, narcissistic motherfucker.
That's a whole nother. That's a no.
Like, don't get me started on narcissism.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show. But yes, through me processing, am I going to keep this child? Am I going to do adoption? What am I going to do next?
Yeah.
What's my next move? Mm-hmm. And through this whole process, he is in and out of the picture. Through this whole pregnancy, in the worst ways that you can even think about, with somebody that is going through.
And you're pregnant. You're already emotional, like hormonal.
And just side note, I had decided to give the child up for adoption, so I was working through that process with that family. Mm-hmm. So through this whole pregnancy, we've got him in and out with his narcissistic behavior, pulling me in, reeling me back. Pulling me in, reeling
Hoovering,
me back.
devaluing you, disengaging.
Yes.
Re-engaging.
Yep.
Devaluing you. Hoovering again. Yeah. Good times.
Yep. During the pregnancy, I had it hard, and for 2 solid weeks, I was in the hospital because I had preterm labor. He never showed him once through the whole process, but as soon as I got out, he was knocking at my door. When I finally made the decision, I'm going to go ahead and give the child up for adoption. And so in California, you have to put a petition in the newspaper so that if the father wants to be present, they can be present.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Or not be present, or blah, blah, blah. Do that. Who shows up?
This motherfucker.
And so we battled through all that of this is my body, my life, you're just in and out, in and out.
You got a whole nother fucking family, bitch. Like, what are you going to do?
And so...
He almost did it just because.
That's how I feel looking back.
Narcissists are very, like, they want to win.
The power.
The power. Yeah, you can't have the power. He holds the power.
Right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I had the baby, gave her up for adoption, went into the deepest depression that it was like somebody died, and went and got my baby, that I finally took back my power.
Yeah.
And that's when, and he called me, and that's when I told him, do not call me again.
Nice.
What about my daughter? Do not call me again.
Did you change your number or anything, or no? And
No.
you never did?
Oh, he did.
Of course, I was like, that can't be that simple.
Yeah, he did. But the next time he called me, I had met my current husband. And when the phone rang that time, my husband answered. Well, we weren't married at the time. We weren't married. We were still dating. But
husband to be.
Yes, answered the phone.
Yes.
That was the last.
Yeah. Which is probably, so if he's truly a narcissist, right, everyone is an object to them that they own.
Right.
He owns you.
He owns me.
And now somebody else has you.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the biggest wounds you can do to them, because even though if they don't want you at the time, they don't want anybody else to have you.
Right.
You were theirs. Like, you belong to them.
Exactly.
So he never saw his daughter. He never saw her once, or did he?
Because he was back and forth.
Okay.
He kept going in and going out.
So he had.
He definitely up until my daughter was about 2 months old.
Okay.
He definitely was in her world, out of her world, in her world, taking her at times, and for that, in and out for the first 2 months. But once I started dating my husband, I slowly began to wean that off.
Okay.
And then I think what helped is that I ended up going to, because remember, I was going to be graduating my C school, and after that, I ended up going to Japan.
I was about to say, that's probably when you went to Japan, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get to a point to be able to open yourself up to somebody else? Because that's a huge betrayal. Like, how do you, because that's a hard thing, I think, when people come out of betrayal or suffer from a betrayal, is trusting somebody else again.
Right.
So what made you open and trusting to your husband now, who you met? Like, how, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it is. And it's so funny that you asked that, because when we got together, we didn't initially get together because I'm attracted to you in that way. We ended up getting together because of my daughter, I needed 2 jobs. The military wasn't enough. So I had a side gig. And at my side gig, he happened to come in looking for stuff and saw me with his brother. And his brother approached me. But when he started talking to me, he had an accent. And it was an accent I was familiar with. So I just began to engage just in a conversation, like, where are you from, blah, 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 blah. And we exchanged phone numbers. So there was no...
It wasn't a romantic...
No, it wasn't
initial
connection, no. And then over a period of, talking on the phone and talking about home and talking about, it was just this, it was this friendship. And then we went out to lunch, and then we went to a movie. So, and my daughter was always with us when we went. So it was still just this friendship that you're building. But you ask about when do you put your guard down? When do you allow it back in? You know what? It wasn't until, this was already the picture. So I would say it was definitely 4 years into our marriage. I remember the day vividly. Me and my husband get into a huge fight. And I start walking away like I always do. I'm always picking fights, and I'm walking away. And he, not wrestled me, but he caught me in the hallway. And he's like, this shit has got to stop. When are you going to let me in? You have this wall, and I'm done trying to knock it down.
So even you're married by this time, 4 years into marriage, you still have a wall up.
I'm done trying to knock it down. You have 2 choices. Either you're going to start working on this, and us, because I'm done. I can't give anymore.
Yeah. I mean, he moved to Japan.
Yes. He's like, I can't give anymore. Or, I'm gone. moment that the light bulb went on and I began to engage on now an emotional level and truly intimate level with my husband.
So looking back on the guy, were there any, like, because I know it was so long ago, but there any red flags that now you're like, like, because you never, we talked about this, you never see them in the moment. It was just like all day long. I mean, not calling you for 36 days.
Yeah.
But was he like controlling in any way? Was he?
Of course.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If I wanted to do something.
Because you said you were together all the time, so I wonder if that was a level of control.
Yeah, it was a level of control. Because it was never things in particular I wanted to do. I found myself going down into his world and his likes and the things that he liked to do. I would give up it may sound simple, but I would give up my car. I would do without. So he could be gallivanting wherever
he was doing.
Whatever he was doing.
Somebody else.
I was that girl.
Yeah.
I was that girl that you drop her off at work and you take her car all day.
Yeah.
That was me. That was me. Right? Now looking back, yeah, the Christmases. Why couldn't we never have a Christmas?
Right. Did his family even know? Did you ever talk to his family on the phone? Was he ever talking to his family and said your name? Like,
No. The only time we ever engage with his family, okay, or I had any involvement with his family, was when all this shit blew up. Before I even told my parents I was pregnant out in California, the wife calls my mother. That is the only.
So she found out about you.
Yes, she did.
When did that? Because we skipped that. When did that happen? When did she
I don't
find
know.
out about you? She called your mother?
She called my mother. She didn't call me. She called my mother.
Is she the one who told your mother you were pregnant?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It didn't go well. That's a whole nother story for another day. But
I'm assuming she stayed married to him.
I have no idea.
Well, now we know.
Yeah.
Because we looked him up. But
he
married to somebody else and had 3 more children.
Yeah.
Man has like 7 kids.
Yes. But apparently she did. I don't know what happened because like Megan, honestly, when I tell you I had my daughter, gave her up, went and got her and said, I'm done.
Yeah.
I didn't look
his
back.
life after that, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, it wasn't until last Thursday when you pulled the Band-Aid off that I even looked him up.
I'm sorry.
To see, okay, and now I understand there's additional information to his life, but I don't really care.
So, how would you say you got through that? Like, for people who've suffered a betrayal, how did you, that's a huge, like you said, like, your world, you blacked out, basically, like.
It was hard, you know, because a portion of the story after having the baby, is not a part of this podcast. Yeah. That's a whole nother story of struggle and success.
Yeah.
But how did I get through it? I'd have to say because of my daughter, I had to be fully present.
Yeah.
And it was rough. I mean, we lived out of my car for a while. Then I found an apartment, and then it was a struggle. And then God blessed me with my husband.
Yeah.
He truly did, and here we are, 30 years later.
I was about to say 30 years. Mm-hmm. I'm his sideway now.
Yeah. No more betrayal. No.
Yeah. Her husband loves me.
Yes, he does. Yeah. He does.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and telling your story. That's a huge, like I said, that's some USA Network, like crazy, like people who live these double lives and you have and they're so good at it. And especially being in the military, it's probably so much easier because I'm stationed over here. Like, so I wonder how often it actually happens to the military.
Probably happens a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It probably happens a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Especially if the person is, say, in Japan and the family's back in the States.
Yeah, you have
Wait, you could have a whole life for 4 years.
That's crazy.
4 years at a time. But yeah, that's my story. And if there's anything that I can tell anybody out there is when you're actually going through that deceit, you know, it's easy for your friends to say, oh, she should see the signs, or she should, you know, get over it, or whatever. Yeah. When you're in it, you can. But understand that there is a day when you gain your strength. And when you gain your strength from whatever that particular betrayal is, don't accept anything less in the next relationship.
Right.
You may embark on a different situation, but don't learn from that piece. And I think that's what I did in this case. Maybe I went too far because I put up so many walls. I almost lost my marriage 4 years into a marriage. Yeah. And if I didn't have the type of husband I had, they'd just go get in your face. Yeah.
You make this work or I'm out.
Yeah. That maybe we wouldn't be where we are today, but we just have a great marriage, and I have a great relationship. Yeah. And it's all off of truly coming off of that. I didn't have anybody in between. It was him and then my husband.
Yeah, lucky that, you know, he came into your life, but everything, you know, happens for a reason. And they usually say when you have a tower moment in life, you usually follow up with something great, right? Like the universe balances itself out. So
thank God it did, because
thank you, baby Jesus.
Yes, because
I'm waiting for my balance out.
I couldn't go. Where would I have gone from there?
I don't know. Imagine what your life.
I don't know.
Yeah, would have been like. I'm definitely waiting. I feel like I'm finally getting my strength back, and I'm, you know, coming out of this place where I felt betrayed and hurt, and you know, so I'm like, okay, where's
your next step? And you will get there. You'll get there. And I know I always say this to you, and I know you're like, okay, sure, you know, whatever. But it's true. It is coming, and you have grown just in the 8 years that I've known you. You've grown from relationship to relationship, so you'll get there.
Thanks, I appreciate it. All right, we're going to end it on that note. That was a heavy episode, but I think it's actually very important, and I really appreciate you coming on and being open, because I know it wasn't easy to open that up from the vault. Yeah. 30 years ago. So if you're going through a betrayal, or maybe you're going through something that these red flags are kind of firing off in your brain, you know, hopefully you guys get through and this helped you. If you'd like to reach out to us, feel free to at femfables@gmail.com, but we will see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.